The collective consciousness is starting to identify common threads of suffering between us. And with that comes the identification of the patterns and stories we have told ourselves as individuals or as societies through generations, starting to understand the truth about who we are, what we're all dealing with, and see the connection between each other. We're finally in that place of really looking and being able to open up to the empathy and find those common connections. This is really hard for us as a collective because so many of us don't feel validated in our own struggles. And so when we find ourselves in a place of being able to connect with others, it's difficult because we all need that validation. And we struggle to hold everything at once, even though everything exists at once. I'm telling you, I've been watching this couples therapy show on Showtime. I've binge watched it. It was really good. This therapist, I love her approach. I can see where she's going with it. I know what she's doing. I love her approach. And it was very eye-opening to me as I watched this, and I watched these people go through these issues with each other. How hard it is for us to listen, how hard it is for us to stop and pause in the moment and really think and understand and find the love and the pain that exist alongside each other because it's all the same thing. You know, the toughest thing about unconditional love is the fact that embodying it doesn't always feel good. You know, sometimes the toughest, most difficult decisions that we have to make are made out of love. And it is very, very hard. Beaver, this is another one of those decks that I'm refreshing my memory on because I got it in a more difficult place of brain injury. Okay, where are we, Beaver? Forgive me. By the way, I'm meggus. I'm a cartomancer, psychic medium, hollow bone divine channel healer, and shadow work coach. So here we are, checking out what's happening in the collective because things are really energetically, things are roller coaster, and for a lot of people, this is reflecting in our lives. We're right in middle. We just started Pluto retrograde. A lot of things are being unmasked. A lot of truths are being uncovered. And it's not always pleasant. But it is always about looking at those situations and finding the love for ourselves, especially what is most loving for us. What is it that we need to understand? What illusions do we need to release? What truths do we need to accept to love ourselves? Beaver. Hard worker, loyal, tireless, family first. This is really interesting. That, in terms of like, I understand this vibration, and there's a very big duality in this vibration. There is, this close-knit family and the human collective, our nature as a communal species, that tightness of that idea of family and community. But in society, there's also this idea of separateness, and it's a toxic individuality. And I swear I found this encapsulated best in a video on this platform of some dude and his family, and he went off to homestead, right, with his wife and like 3 kids or whatever, and they have all this land and they have all this money, and he's like, I have everything that I could ever want, and I was so unfulfilled because I had no community. And this is something that is coming to the forefront of people's minds. We are shifting out of this, oh my God, me first, take care of myself before anything else, I at all costs, to the best way to take care of myself is to also take care of others, because that's how we are. That's how humans are supposed to be. That's how we function best. That's how we solve problems. That's how we grow as a society. Um, what do we? Yeah, starfish, very cool. What we're moving out of right now is a more superficial way of living. So there's this idea of home and family, and it's a bit toxic and it's a bit superficial, because it, when I guarantee you, when I say home and family, for a lot of people will have this image in their head of it, you know, like almost like a family photo, and it's like this is what we are supposed to aspire to, and this is programming, because it doesn't have to look exactly like this. There are so many million definitions of what that can mean, home and family, and it doesn't have to appear a certain way. So starfish is advising us that, and this is a lot of water, there's a lot of emotions moving through all of this. This is all water right now. There's a lot of emotion moving through this. We're starting to come to the understanding and acceptance of the truth of our emotions and how they color our perception of ourself and our world, and also, and good and bad. So, the idea that we were sold this bill of goods, that we could go to college, that we could have kids, get married, blah blah blah, and life would be beautiful, and it's just not. It just doesn't work that way, and it is far more complicated, and we are playing a losing game, and people are trying to wake up to that. The illusion, the dream, the superficiality that sits in front of all of us, this idea of the, house, marriage, 2.5 kids and a dog kind of thing, that we all, it's like, there's an aspiration, but it is a false aspiration. It is a keeping up with the Joneses kind of aspiration, instead of really truly looking within ourselves and finding the truth about what we want as individuals, to bring into balance positive friends. It also generates a lot of competition, and so we find ourselves surrounded by people who, we group together by our insecurities and our critiques of others, instead of grouping together based on our own values, the visions that we want to see in the world. Not always. Even within those groups, we tend to collect into judgment containers. And it's very crabs in a bucket, where it's very hard for individuals um, to to expand outside of that, because conformity is the name of the game. We all want to be feeding this collective image, except now we don't. We don't want to feed that collective confirmation beep from my kettle. We don't want to be feeding that collective image. That's not satisfying a lot of us now. But this vision, this collective vision, is going through it's death knells right now. What do we have here? A dragonfly in the future. We're going to do bat and fire ant underneath. Dragonfly in the future. So we're coming into clarity. We're moving through this. We're burning, this is dragonfly is like a fire of air. So we are burning through these old ideas, these old visions, these old collective, goals that no longer serve us, and moving us towards understanding the truth of how we create together, what we create together, clearing away the illusions, the false stories that we were sold about what makes fulfillment in life, and really leaning into finding our joy. When in balance, sees clearly, joyful, magical. When out of balance, can't concentrate, busy mind. To bring into balance, focus on the breath. So we are coming back to the present moment, instead of being scattered and constantly information overwhelmed with fears and hesitations and what ifs. Bat, darkness letting go, death leading to rebirth, that and fire ant here. Fire ant is like a growing resentment. It's a growing fire. It's a growing anger. It is something that we ignore and it builds up and then it explodes. And so we are witnessing this in the present moment in society. We're witnessing that boil over point. And I've mentioned this before, how angels have told me that things will get worse before they get better. And I don't say that to scare anybody, but what I want people to focus on is it will get better, because there is a pain point. There is a point of no more that we are coming to, this pressure point where applied correctly, that pressure can create diamonds. And that's really what Spirit wants us to remember, is through this pressure and through this hardship and through this situation getting worse, that is the pressure that can lead us to create that beautiful diamond in the rough that we've all been looking for in life and the world. Well, when in balance, accepts, adapts, adjusts. When out of balance, refuses to let go, reminisces. To bring into balance, watch the sunrise. And so we are going through the door, going through that, that initiation, going through that portal into this new beginning. And it is not crazy. It is not crazy. It is not comfortable. The analogy in my head is one the angels have showed me, which is you're on a plane to this amazing vacation destination, and the turbulence is horrible. It's not enough to like be a danger, but it's like to where the plane is gonna fall out of the sky, but it's awful. And you could just, you just want it to stop, but you are still going to land in that beautiful destination. And that's what you have to remember, is that as we move through these changes and shifts, it is a bumpy ride and it doesn't feel good, but it's shaking off the unnecessary. It is allowing that pain point to bring us to that precipice of no more. Look at how it affects all of us. That connection and understanding the collective suffering and how that connection affects every single one of us. It is a beautiful possibility. The future is ours to create. And how well we move through this. And if it happens at all, of course, depends on us. Do not be afraid to let go. Do not be afraid to look deeper. Deeper holds things that are scary, but they can't hurt you because they're not. They're just you. In the end, remember that. I hope that helps somebody out there. If you'd like a personal reading, please visit the link tree in my bio. Sorry, it's not a clickable link, but it's easy to remember. Thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Love you. Bye.